Hey guys, Dave with Moniology. This is the Moniology Markets Review for the uranium sector, December 2nd, 2018. Overall, I see a mixed bag in the sector. As you'll see on many of our names, some are doing very well and some are actually breaking down. So let's take a look at what's taking place. Apia Energy Corp, API.CA, broke down below the 50 RSI level unless it recaptures that level this week. This name is, frankly, if not a long, then a short, but it's definitely not a name you want to be long at this point in time. Blue Sky Uranium Corp, this one is actually looking very, very good. It's approaching this trend line, which it's gotten knocked down before, but it's above the 50 RSI in the weekly closing basis, which is very positive. Look at the volume bar on this hammer pattern last week. So I think that if this breaks out, 20 cents is the logical first target, and thereafter, if it can break 20, that's when ideally you go long above for a target of about 32 to 35. Really like this name if it can break out this trend line. Cameco Ccj, another one that's consolidating right now above the 50 and 200 week moving averages. So far, so good. It's consolidating right below that 60, 61 RSI level, which is a very important level. If it can break out above 13, that's your sign to go long in Cameco. Until then, if you own it, I would keep it here, but buying with the expectation of a breakout is not the way to go in the uranium space. Just going to make a minor adjustment here. I'm doing this for the first time, so I want to give you guys a sense of kind of how I look at things in this space. Okay. Next on the list is Canalaska Uranium, CVVUF. This one, on the one hand, it broke down last week. On the other hand, it rallied and closed above the 20-cent marker, so that's a very important close. Let's see what happens this week. I mean, right now it's in no man's land. It's below the 38 RSI level. Until it can break above 38 and really 50, this one is really consolidating or breaking down. Deep Yellow. This one looks like it's on the verge of a nice move here. It found support above the 50 RSI level. It's consolidated for a little bit, and now it's bouncing off the 50 weekly EMA at 27, and it looks like it wants to make a move back above that 40-cent level. If this can break above 40 cents, that's your level to buy long. Going forward. Now again, notice I've got some that are on with Canadian prices because they don't have a US ticker, at least not one that's available on stock charts, and then some are US dollars like this one. So I apologize for the confusion, but doing the best I can. Denison Mines, DNN, this one had a very good close this last week, and as it rallied off the 50 RSI level, rallied off the 50-week moving average, and I like this name right now. If this can break above 60 and hold there for a couple of days, I think it's setting up for a nice move towards that 80-cent level going forward. Encore Energy had a very nice move last week. This is a very strong break, bounce off the 50 RSI. I want to just point out a couple things here that I'm noticing. So, couple of these bullish wedge consolidations looks like they're on the verge of being broken to the upside. On the other hand, they can serve as resistance, so let's see what happens. If it breaks to the upside, that's your trigger to go long in Encore. But I think either way, this one has much higher prices in store in the coming months ahead. Energy Fuels, another one that's consolidating here at the 50 RSI level, didn't break down as I thought it might, and now it's setting up for another break or move towards that 200 EMA, possibly to break out towards 5. I really like this name on a fundamental basis, and should this sector continue to show some fire, this one can really run. Fission Uranium, FCUUF. This one is below the 50 RSI, but it is consolidating on that 38 to 40 level. Had a strong breakdown and then rally hammer pattern last week, so maybe that was a fake breakdown. It needs to recapture that 50-cent level. There's a lot of resistance at the 50 EMA at 52 and the 200 EMA at 63, but I think this one has long-term potential, so definitely keep an eye on this one. Forces Metals, another on the Canadian exchange, major breakdown, but a major recovery. That's a very positive sign. Shook out a lot of weekends here, bounced off the 50-week moving average. Now it's making a run to break back higher above the 200 moving average. Again, I want to stress the point that this found support at the 50 RSI level. It's a crucial level in market psychology and market momentum. So if this breaks and closes this next week above 25 cents, this is your sign that this one wants to move higher. Gold mining, which has a fairly strong position in the uranium sector as well, which is why it's being covered here. It looks like it's bottoming. I feel bad that there's a lot of consolidation, so you can't really see the detail here as well as I do when I look at the daily and hourly charts. But it's created multiple double bottoms, triple bottom here around that 55, 58, 60 cent level. But each time it's created a divergent high in momentum. Now it's breaking out to the upside. I really think that if this can break above the above that 70 level, I think that this can run towards 120 to 140 in very short order. So this has explosive potential and has a very, very strong fundamental story behind it. So definitely want to do your due diligence on this name. GVX uranium. This one broke out above this downtrend. It broke out here in September, consolidated a couple times. 2 weeks ago, broke down, and we thought, okay, this rally is over. This was your trigger to sell at this point if you bought long here. But it's a fake breakdown, and looks like it wants to move higher. And if it can break above 15 cents, it's going to make a run towards 20, possibly as high as 35, should the sector really begin to rally on a longer-term basis. Laramide Resources had a great week as well as it consolidated above this breakout zone here that started in September, and I think this is going to break above 40 very soon, possibly make a run towards 60 in the same week that it breaks out above 40. Next Gen Energy, it's consolidating here. It's making higher highs, higher lows, which is a very positive development. But it's not doing anything really. It's kind of a boring stock. I think it heads towards $3 in the not too distant future, but it might take a while to do that. Skyharbor Resources, another one with a great fundamental story, been consolidating here for better part of 2 years, but it's below the 50 RSI. It must recapture that. If it does, 40 cents is the next price target, followed by 55. If it doesn't, then possible continued weakness. You'll see a move towards this 29 cent area. UEXCF, another one that looks like it wants to break out here. You definitely want to keep an eye out on this one. PPO is curling towards a break above 0. If this can break above 16 area, 20 cents, 25 cents, and ultimately 35 cents are good target areas to look at. URG, it's been consolidating also for 2 years here, your energy, and it looks like it wants to break higher here soon. So don't be surprised for a move towards that 90 cent range. Close the week above the 50 RSI level, which is a very positive development, and PPO is curling towards a break above 0. Uranium Energy Corp, UEC. This has been acting weak for many months, even as the uranium sector had been acting strong, but it's showing some positive divergence and is showing some signs that it wants to move higher. So if this breaks above 140, expect it to test the 50 and the 200 EMAs, both that are right now consolidating around 150. If it can break above 150, that's your trigger to go long this name. Couple things as you look at the Uranium Daily. The Uranium Daily closed the week above the 50 RSI. That's a positive development. The hourly consolidated and closed the week above the 50 RSI, which is a positive development. You look at the monthly, it had a nice bounce to close the month, which is very strong sign considering how it closed in October over here. Let's see if we can do a follow through towards the end of the year. And then again on the weekly, it's got this wedge pattern and must break above this trend line before any long-term bullish picture can be drawn. Finally, 2 more names. Western Uranium Corp. It finally broke down as we anticipated it would because of this negative divergence that it had here, and it broke down and finally tested that 120 level. This is not a bad place to consider going long, but I would not be surprised that this could make a move lower towards that $1 mark, or possibly the 80-cent zone. So definitely, if you have, just hypothetically, you have $1,000 position, $300 goes long here, $300 goes long here, $300 over here. You don't want to buy in one bulk purchase right now, especially with PPO closing so strongly below zero. Finally, Westwater Resources. It's creating positive divergence, but this is not something that I would touch until it can break above this 31-cent zone and this downtrend line around, I'd say about 25 cents. Anyways, guys, a mixed bag in the uranium space right now, but there are a lot of opportunities. Keep an eye out for year-end tax loss selling, and so there might be more breakdowns, but I think that there's a lot of opportunity for long-term gains, multi-bagger gains in the sector. Want to do your fundamental due diligence on each one of these names. Don't just buy based on the charts, but the charts certainly give a good perspective as to timing and what the overall market psychology is of all the participants. Thanks, guys, and have a great week.